Well, let's just get it out there. I started drafting a new novel, and I am so thrilled about this book. But I want to share with you something. This is called My Life Lately. It's really heavy. Look at all those books. This has been me lately, reading all these encyclopedias and random nonfiction books. And I don't like nonfiction. So, yeah, this has been a stretch. But that has been my life lately. I have been diving into World War II, specifically 1933 and the rise of Germany and how all of that went down and how Hitler became chancellor and the Nazi regime took over. So that should give you a bit of an idea that my new book is a World War II novel. And I have been wanting to write a World War II novel for forever. I have so many ideas for World War II books. And that is something that I love about World War II is just how many different angles you have. You have the Polish perspective, the Jewish perspective, the American perspective. There's so many more, but you have all of these different perspectives and there are so many untold stories that need to be told. And so I am thrilled to be diving into this new project and getting to research and write these characters and dive into the world of World War II Germany. Honestly, it's probably a good thing that I love to research because I've been doing a lot of research. And at first I was doing a ton online and there's only so much you can find online. And at one point I was just like, okay, we're just gonna start going to the library. I just need to get into the culture and the mindset and what people were feeling like because this regime took over Germany. What happened? How did these people get swayed? Why did they believe all this? What lies or what truths did Hitler speak that got these people passionate and motivated to follow him? And we all know that there was a ton of racism in that time and towards the Jews and to other less superior races. How did they buy into this idea that the Jews were bad people? And I was just like, okay, there's only so much a Wikipedia page can tell you. So I went to the library and I got encyclopedias and nonfiction books and children's books and picture books. And the stack that I showed you is only it's probably 75% of the books that I got. But I got plenty of smaller books because I wanted to see pictures. And I feel like sometimes the children's books are easier to comprehend because they dumb it down for children, but they simplify it, which is kind of nice because sometimes I don't need all of the theological reasons and all the in-depth research that just goes way over my head. I kind of do. That's why I got all of these books. This wasn't an accident that I checked them out. This has been an adventure and I have loved getting to dive into this research and figuring things out. So, I can't share a ton about this book with you, but I can say that at this moment, I have about 45 tabs open on my browser because, there's so many different things that I have to know. And I have all my books that I'm researching. I have a notebook filled with notes and different random tidbits of information that I find that I'm like, ooh, I could put this in here. I could have this character say something about this. And we could have a whole side story. There's so many different side plots that are coming up. Yes, I have actually outlined the entire book, so I do know how it ends, and it's not happy, but hey, I like tragic stories, so what can I say? But I also love to discovery write at least a little bit. So I have my whole outline of what I know is going to happen, and I think that's really good so that I know the character arcs and I know how the main character starts and then where I want her to be by the end of the story, as well as the other side characters. And then I also know the big things that happen because it does center around a pretty major historical event, and it's woven in really well. If I do say so myself, it's woven in pretty well. And I just want it to be grounded, and I needed to know what happens. And personally, I love outlining just because then I know what happens. Because in the past, I have not outlined, and therefore my books have run on and on and on and on forever. And that's just because I didn't know how to end them. So I like having an outline there to keep me grounded, so I'm not wasting words or writing random chapters that have no meaning just because I need to write about something and this is the first thing I thought of. So I do have an outline for this, but then I'm also doing a bit of discovery writing as I'm going because I like making stuff up as I go, and sometimes the characters veer off a tiny bit from the outline. Honestly, I try to keep them pretty solid on the outline, but the main character is a pretty feisty girl, so what can I say? Currently, I'm on chapter 5, so I just finished writing chapter 5 a few days ago, and it was a really fun chapter where there was some awesome internal thoughts and awesome deep POV moments where this character cannot do anything with the piano, and she hates it. The words actually came to me, which I am so happy about because I haven't actually drafted a book since October. So I took a long break, and in that time I've edited a book twice, which was kind of intense. And I just took a break from writing for a little bit just because I needed to refill my creative well, and I was kind of feeling drained. And honestly, I've missed it so much. I love drafting. It's like the best thing ever to get to meet these characters and get inside of their heads. I have just loved meeting these characters in my books. Let me just say, the two main-ish characters. Okay, I have a main character, and then there's a guy. We'll just say it like that. Well, and there's a dad, and there's another guy. But these two, the two first ones that I mentioned, they are just the best to write. They are so much fun. They have such hilarious banter, and they've known each other since they were kids, so there is an awesome dialogue going on between them. It's just so much fun. I like to say that the main character is me unfiltered. And it's just, I'm having way too much fun writing this character, which I mean is a really good thing. So it's just a lot of fun. So for now, we're just gonna be calling this project Songbird. I can't share the actual title, and I actually have one. Surprisingly, I usually don't get titles this early on stage, but I do have a title for it, and I'm not going to share it because I want to do a reveal when this book gets picked up and gets possibly published. So for now, we're just going to be calling it Project Songbird, and that gives you a little bit of a clue about maybe a little bit of what it's about without giving too much away. And it's set in World War II Germany, and I am just loving the research stage and diving into these characters. I have so missed drafting. So if you think it would be cool to see more into my writing process, I would love to make a video about that and share some more details about my writing process and how I'm inspired and just how I write, because every person's writing process is a bit different, and I mean, if there's something you could learn from mine, I'd love to share it. And if you have any tips from your writing process, write them in the comments, and I'd love to hear your writing tips about being consistent with writing and drafting. So all that to say, I started drafting a new novel last week, and I am loving it. It is a blast. The characters are awesome, and they're actually coming to me, which I am so thrilled about because sometimes it's a little bit harder to get into characters' heads. But these ones are there, and I am just loving writing them. It's just been so much fun. So I can't wait until you guys can read snippets of this book, and you can read the actual book. But for now, we're just drafting. So click the like button to wish me luck as I'm drafting Project Songbird. I wish I could share more details and share a blurb and share about the plot, because there are so many different layers to this plot, and it's gonna be awesome. But for now, all I can share is a code name for the story and a bit of the research behind it and a bit of the setting. But hopefully later on in the future, there will be some reveals and I'll be able to share all of the awesome details with you guys. And I really can't wait for that moment. So please follow along if you're interested in hearing more about the story and hearing my drafting process. I also share different writing tips for writing certain scenes, certain styles. And if that would interest you, or if you feel like you need that content, please subscribe and stick around. I can't wait to see you next week. It was so much of a pain to find the World War II section. Nonfiction novels. Well, they're not novels if they're nonfiction. Why are you buying so many? I didn't buy them. And I don't have a writing process.